Alex, what are we talking about today?
Really interesting topic, multi-cloud.
Wow, yeah, big topic.
Yeah, okay. So let's first of all define what multi-cloud is and the different mechanisms of consuming multiple clouds, okay?
Okay.
So first things first, you can do an active-active,
Okay.
which is where you've got replicated workloads in different cloud providers. So let's just take for the sake of argument, you've got an Azure presence,
Yeah.
you've got an AWS presence.
Yeah.
It's replication of those workloads in each cloud service provider to make sure that you've got failover between the two. One cloud service provider goes down or there's an issue, there's an outage, you're still up and running.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other way to do multi-cloud is you actually consume different resources and put different workloads or capabilities in each of the providers. So let's take GCP in this case, right?
Right. So you might have sort of BigQuery or something for your data workloads,
Yeah,
and then
exactly right.
you might prefer EC2 for your VM workloads.
Yeah, maybe you've got
Amazon.
some serverless in Azure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right.
So you're distributed across them, and you've got a multi-cloud presence.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So they're the kind of two common paradigms of using multi-cloud.
Yeah.
So why would you do this?
So I think, the big one that jumps out to me is regulatory requirements.
Yeah. Okay. So needing to have a very, very robust failover mechanism.
Yeah.
Beyond your zonal redundancy,
Yeah.
beyond your geo redundancy, actually cloud provider redundancy. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's typically in financial services, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So needing to always have up services for customers around the world.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I guess there's the other one where you say, simply you prefer services in other clouds versus to others.
Yeah. Okay. So let's now think about why not. Okay. So let's think of all the different things you need to do in order to support multi-cloud.
I expect it's expensive.
Yep. Okay. So we've got cost, certainly in the active.
Yeah.
So big one for me, that.
Yeah.
You're paying for things effectively twice, where it may be better to sink that cost into a proper DR failover and resilient strategy in a single cloud provider.
Yeah, and I guess that's the cost of the cloud itself. What about the teams supporting and building that stuff?
Exactly right. So let's say you've got an active across Azure and AWS,
Yeah.
right? We're thinking about infrastructure as code here,
Yeah.
right? Infrastructure as code, and one of the kind of fallacies around that is that you write things once and just push it out to every single cloud provider. The reality of that is, as you well know, there's differences between the providers. Certainly, if we think about Terraform,
Yeah.
there can be a lot of differences.
So I can't just take my nice Terraform module that deploys an EC2 instance and deploy a VM in Azure with that, no?
So, code and IAC. Twice, right?
Okay, so double the effort, double the skills, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Now, worth mentioning here, in terms of the whole DevOps capability piece, yes, you could have a single DevOps system set of tooling that pushes out to both, right, and kind of pay for that service once.
Yeah.
You've still got the development to push it out to both places. There are going to be variations and differences there for sure.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. So that's some of the big things in terms of why not. So let's have a little think about the alternative then, which is single cloud.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole failover fallacy, if you like, of multi-cloud and needing to have active. Can we achieve that better in a single cloud?
I imagine with the zone redundancy and region and failover, I'm guessing we probably could, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say we've got our workload here, right? And we're saying that's in UK, South for Azure.
Yeah.
Right. If the driver behind being multi-cloud is that you've got a failover capability and you're going to be robust, you're going to have high availability, and everything's up all of the time, actually sinking your cost into a proper execution of that strategy, making sure that your code can facilitate that failover quick, is probably better. So let's say we want to failover to, I don't know, let's say North Europe, right? Another region in Azure. You can actually, in this case, well, first of all, not pay for multi-clouds. You're just paying to fail over to a different region. Right?
Yeah.
So for argument's sake, you could actually have all of this in active-passive.
Okay.
So you've got your resources up and running.
Yeah.
Something happens, you fail over.
Fail over.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can also do active-active in this case as well.
Yeah.
Okay. in which case you can use the same code effectively with just a different location plugged in.
Yeah.
Okay. So same workload, 2 different regions. Yes, you're paying for the resources twice.
Yeah.
But you're not developing it all twice.
Yeah. So I guess the multi-cloud thing is purely for mitigation of a lost cloud provider.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
But we have to think.
What's the cost benefit?
Yeah, well, and if a cloud provider goes down, you know,
Bigger issues.
Yeah, what's happened that's broader? You know, if AWS goes down, even just in a single UK region, right? Think of the amount of people consuming from that data center, and what that's going to affect.
Absolutely. So, is there potential here for somewhat of a halfway house in terms of, you know, you can appreciate that might be a concern, okay? So can we develop, architect our infrastructure choices in a way that, you know, if that did happen, we could, with, you know, a reasonable amount of effort, you know, redeploy that to a different cloud. So what I'm thinking about here is, you know, not necessarily baking ourselves into certain services, but having services that are, you know, applicable in another cloud. So Kubernetes, for example.
Great example. Okay, so, you know, Kubernetes, we've got our containers. You know, they're pretty common. We can deploy them out to wherever they need to go to.
Yeah.
We've got the Kubernetes config itself, you know, the orchestration of all of that on our microservers, our applications that are, you know, running across that.
Yeah.
Arguably, yes. If you've got the code up and you need to fail over to a different cloud, there's nothing to say you can't pick all of that up if it's architectured in the right way. Deploy it over here.
Brilliant. Okay. So all we need to, in that scenario, a new endpoint, which is a new cluster in a different cloud, and our pipelines will still work.
Yeah, exactly right.
Great.
So that although becomes, you know, an architect's decision, and all of this has to be strategic. Okay, so if you're really early on in your journey, and, you know, somebody at the top, which is pretty common, decides for, you know, maybe a regulatory reason, or maybe just because they need to do a multi-cloud strategy. If you've not got one nailed, and you've not got your cloud strategy in place, and you're not experienced with the value of cloud and how to architect for it properly, then trying to do both at the same time, neither will be done correctly.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, makes great sense.
Cool.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, James.